Welcome, digital world. Now, before we begin, let's get our brains ready for some fun. What do you call a second place trophy in an astronomy contest? A constellation prize. Get it? Constellation, astronomy. You're listening to episode 2 of Brainful Please Hold podcast. My name is Mindie, and today we will be discussing being a teacher, how I fell into this job, what it's like to be a teacher in this day and age, and the joys that come from it. So hop on the brain train and join me on this crazy ride. So today, as I was walking into a classroom to hand one of my other students work that he missed because he was out, another student who is no longer in my class, he gave me a card and a gift card. Completely unexpected because, as I said, I don't have this student in my class anymore. He was in my class last year, and he is like the most wonderful, kind, understanding, hardworking student that you want in your classroom. And in addition to him being an amazing student, his parents are also extremely supportive. They are very appreciative of teachers and what they provide for their son. And they are generally just really nice people. So it was really heartwarming to receive this card from not only his parents, but also the student. And I'll just read a little bit of what they wrote in it. Thank you for being so wonderful with our son. He always talks about you, even though he is no longer in your class. You made such a difference in his life. And the student wrote, thank you for all you have done for me. I appreciate your help. I loved being in your class. Have a great summer. I'm getting this at 7:40 in the morning. And of course, I'm just holding back, tears coming out of my eyes because it was completely unexpected and is such a beautiful, kind gesture that a student that I no longer have anymore still talks about me at home and how impactful I was with him in class last year. And it just made my day, honestly, because, you really don't know how much you affect your students, positive or negative, until they actually tell you about it. So it was really awesome. I love getting things like this because it just makes this job worthwhile because, there are a lot of frustrating moments throughout the day with all this. Actually, it's funny because I am currently in a frustrated moment. Because I had a trip planned for tomorrow and the buses somehow did not get booked. So I'm trying to frantically figure out how I can get this trip going because a lot of the kids are super excited, of course, which sucks, but we'll figure it out. But receiving this card just kind of made me take a step back and just breathe and be like, okay, it's okay. You did nothing wrong. We'll figure it out. The kids will understand if it doesn't happen, but I am determined to make this happen. But anyway, so why don't we start with how I became a teacher? This is kind of like a odd story, I guess, an unusual story, because, a lot of teachers who are teachers now, they're like, oh yeah, I used to play school all the time when I was a kid. I've always wanted to be a teacher my entire life. Well, that's not me. I did not want to be a teacher. I refused to even think about it, even when my mom brought it up, because I'm Asian American. I grew up in the United States, and I just felt like being a math teacher was just so stereotypical, and I just really didn't want to do it. So I went into college thinking that I was going to be a child psychiatrist because I knew I did want to work with children in some capacity. But I did not want to have to go to school forever. I really did not want to become a teacher at all because I did not really enjoy school. till later on. Fast forward many, many, many years and decades. I'm actually in a doctorate program for special education administration. But anyway, this is really funny that I didn't want to go to school for too long, but yet I'm in school forever. Anyway, so I started my journey in college thinking that I was going to be a child psychiatrist. So I majored in psychology, of course. And then when I found out that child psychiatrists need a lot of schooling, I was like, nah, I guess I'm going to try and find something else. But of course, I had no idea what I wanted to do. And I'm already, halfway through, actually more than halfway through all of my classes for my psychology degree. So I'm like, oh, great. What am I going to do now? So I had a lot of classmates that were going to be teachers, and they're like, why don't you look into the Graduate School of Education? Well, unfortunately, my grades are not good enough to be able to get into this program, which would have been really cool. It was a 5-year program at Rutgers, and it would be an undergrad and graduate school in 5 years, which is awesome, saves money and things like that. But again, as I said, I was not the greatest student, so that wasn't a choice for me. But I ended up picking up another major. So I was doubling major in psychology and history, just so that I could get credits to be able to get my teaching certificate. So it was really an afterthought of me being a teacher, and I kind of just fell into it. I eventually went to William Patterson to get my postbachelorate degree in teaching because Rutgers does not have an undergraduate program, so I had to do it a different way, which kind of sucked, but I think it was good for me. It was at my pace. It was kind of where the universe was trying to take me anyway. So yeah, what kind of teacher did I end up becoming the first 12 years of my teaching? You guessed it, a math teacher, which is kind of ironic. My mom told me, I remember this specifically, my spring semester of my sophomore year, my mom was encouraging me to take classes to become a math teacher, and I refused. Of course, mom was right. I definitely should have looked into that, but whatever. I mean, I'm sure as a mom, which I am, your kids will definitely hear you, but not actually take your advice. I mean, the same goes with my students as well. But anyway, so that's kind of how I became a teacher. It just, I guess, for lack of better term, I just kind of fell into it. I followed my gut instincts on what I should do. And even though it took a little bit longer than usual, this is where I ended up, which is really funny because I absolutely love teaching. Yes, does it have its moments? But what job doesn't have its moments? Are some of the students a little bit frustrating at some point? Yes, of course. I meant, who isn't? But at the end of the day, it really is an amazing job, career. And I love that I'm able to make an impact on these students just by being myself, teaching them what I know, what I don't know, and kind of learning together, which is kind of cool. So I actually started out as a middle school math teacher, just general education middle school math teacher working at a charter school. And through that, I got a lot more experience in special education. So let me see, probably like my 5th year teaching is when I started looking into getting my special ed degree. And that just opened up doors to a whole nother world of teaching that I did not know. I mean, I knew, but I didn't know. And honestly, it was the best decision of my entire life. I have been in special education, oh my goodness, for 12 years? 12 years. Yes? Yes, about 12 years. And it's been really cool. I've learned a lot about myself. I've learned a lot about how to teach students who learn a little bit differently. And I really think that I have grown better as not only a teacher, but just as a person, to be more understanding, keep my eyes open on understanding people's behaviors, how they react, a little bit more compassion for my parents. Not that I didn't have any, but I try and give them a lot more understanding and compassion because, especially students with severe special needs, it's really difficult to be able to manage your life. And I give all those parents a ton of props because, they are magic. They are amazing. And not that, regular parents aren't either, but, especially my severe cases of my special ed students, that those parents, they are one of the toughest groups of parents that I have ever met. And they advocate so much for their children, which I absolutely love, appreciate. And I love working with them because they are so passionate about their children and the children's success. So, really, what it's like to be a teacher nowadays, I mean, it's completely different than when I started, which was in 2008. Things have just changed. Legislation has changed, the way that society has changed, technology has changed. But, the basic underlying structure of teaching is still the same. We might be teaching stuff a little bit differently because there's like new programs and things that seem a little bit more exciting. Most everything is online these days, but back in the day we had textbooks and we would go from there. I mean, I remember the first time that I was able to use an overhead projector. It was like the best day of my life. I was so excited because when I was in school, all I wanted to do was to be up at that overhead projector. If you don't know what an overhead projector is, it's like this big machine that literally is just a big light and there's a mirror at the top so that it reflects what's on the screen at the bottom to project on the wall. But what I didn't realize was that this overhead projector, yes, light, it blinds you, completely blinds you. But I persevered and I pushed through that because I was so excited to use this overhead projector in my first classroom that I just had a great time, even though I was literally blinded by the light. I can't say it's the same experience for everybody. Obviously, everybody's experience is different. But even teaching after all these years, it's about 18 at this point, I still love teaching because I love being, if anything, I actually even love it even more because I have become more confident in my own skills and my own personality, my own everything, that I'm a better teacher because of it. Because I'm not afraid to make mistakes and learn along with students, I feel that now I enjoy teaching even more than I did when I first started. When you're first starting, you're still trying to figure out your discipline. You are still taking things personally from, what students say. But after all these years and learning how to manage my own behavior, my own emotions, I realized that these kids are going through the same thing. It might not be exactly the same thing, but they're still trying to figure themselves out. I am currently a high school teacher, which I teach obviously special education, but mostly in science and history. And it's just a different world, from middle school to high school. It's a completely different world. Also, I used to teach the MD, multiple disabilities, and autism classroom as well, which is a completely different teaching style, approach, and all those things. Most of my students are working on their basic skills, like, math skills, language skills, and life skills. So it's was an amazing experience, and I'm glad that I got to have that experience because I think it made me a better teacher. It's just been a really cool journey to go through, not only just for myself, but also for my students, because I feel that I'm able to make an impact being a teacher. I see so many students every single day, and working on myself after all these years and being able to see my potential, but also be able to see their potential is just life changing. We teachers don't go into teaching for the money. Haha, of course. We go into it. Well, most of us go into it because we have a passion for spreading knowledge and encouraging young minds to push themselves to be better than who they are and to push them towards their own potentials, which is such a cool thing to see, especially, after they graduate and go on to be adults. I'm in my first group of students. I think they're in their late 20s now, which is kind of crazy. I don't know what they're doing. I hope they're all doing extremely well, and maybe they have what I said in the back of their minds. Hopefully it's a positive thing. But you never know. You really never know how much or how little you affect somebody. So getting a card like this, especially from a student that I don't even have anymore, is such a cool thing. And it just makes me want to continue doing this and be even better than I was yesterday. So if you are a parent, or if you are a student, or anybody who has a teacher in their life that might need a little bit of a pick me up, just a simple little card, honestly, does a lot. It shows how much you have impacted somebody's life in a positive way, which is really what teaching is. Aside all the things that we need to teach our students, which is insanely a lot, when it comes down to it, teaching really should be about how much you support and respect your students, the parents, and just the little joys that you get from it. If they get what you're teaching them, that's awesome. If they remember what you're teaching them years from now, that's even better. But really, our impact lies in our words, how we treat our students. The students, they remember how it felt to be in your classroom. They remember how you treated them. I mean, that goes with anything, but, students, they're so young, their minds are still so new and they're maturing, they're growing, that your impact is so important to keep in mind, that their behavior typically isn't about you, it's about them and what they're going through. And as teachers, we should be here to understand them, to be compassionate. And, really, that's really what comes down to it. Not everybody sees it that way and approaches teaching that way, but in my eyes, that's really what teaching should be. It should be about supporting the students as well as the parents to be able to provide their children with the best education academically, emotionally, socially that you can provide for them. And I guess that's really all I have to say about teaching. I absolutely love it. And if there's any other teachers out there that would love to comment, share their experiences, I would love to hear that from you. So that's all for today. And I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. Remember to stay clappy, which is classy and happy put together, because Anchorman is one of my sisters and I's favorite movie. And Ron Burgundy at the end says, "Stay classy, San Diego." But I also love the quote, "Don't worry, be happy." That's one of my favorite things. So I put them together. So stay clappy, digital space. And I can't wait to talk to you guys next time.